All right, and we're live. Welcome to the Wonton Wednesday podcast. Tripp Ainsworth, and you're a fucking very impressive man, Marine, author, and absolutely fucking hilarious on social media.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for being on because, I don't know, I'm new at getting started at this, and I didn't want to do phone interview things because I don't think the audio quality is as good, but I have to look at the reality of my life, and sometimes you don't have a lot of choices, and you just fucking do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did the podcast thing for a while and then, kind of fell off on it. I mean to get back onto it. But I used to think of StreamYard. It was pretty cheap and, really easy to use. And, all you really needed was a laptop with a camera on it. I guess and a microphone.
Yeah, that's not a bad gig. Yeah. So, let's start off with introducing yourself in whatever fucking way you feel like doing.
Okay. Well, I'm Tripp. I guess depending on where you find me, I'm either an author or a musician or a artist or that asshole that says mean things to you on TikTok, or the guy that just complains on Facebook because friggin' I don't know. Facebook's terrible, and I don't really have any friends over there. So, and I don't really care about the app. So all I do is really just complain about other apps there. But anyway, no, I was in the Marine Corps for 12 years ish. Bit shy of 12 years, but I'm going to round up because fuck it. And
Nice.
then I've been writing since then and doing art and complaining about society. I guess might be one thing. Fucking, I don't know. I got this thing going on now where I don't know if you've seen this whole Bud Light friggin' I'm gonna use heavy air quotes on not conspiracy, that's not the right word. Controversy, where it's I'm not drinking Bud Light anymore because they put a fucking tranny on it. It's dude, you drink Bud Light? That's not beer, right? Come on.
Pretty sure it's water.
Yeah. It's like a canoe. It's like sex in a canoe. It's fucking close to water.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I have just heard everyone complaining about it. I'm like, I don't drink Bud Light. Why do I fucking care?
No. And then the other thing is everybody's well, they're just trying to pander to and it's dude, let me stop you right there, man. Companies like that, they don't do a damn thing unless they think it's going to make them money. It has nothing to do with being pro or anti anything besides dollar bills. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, I look at it like this is, well, what do you think they were doing before that?
Yeah, I mean, friggin', one of the things, I know Anheuser-Busch and Coors and, I know Yingling, maybe Shiner too. I don't know, but they've all been big sponsors at Pride parades and shit for the last 20 years. So it's dude, if you want to drink beer that's not, I guess LGBTQ friend, I don't know what the right acronym is anymore, but friendly to that, then you can't drink. So.
Well,
go
basically,
back to your fucking...
Molson is owned by Coors, or Molson owns Coors, which is Canadian. Yingling is owned by the same people that own Budweiser, so that's InBev out of Belgium. And
yeah, it didn't used to be like that. They used to make that shit here in America.
They make it in America. They just have corporate overlords.
Yeah. Did you know that Dodge is Dutch now?
I thought Dodge was Fiat, which is Italy.
No, Dodge and Fiat are both owned by Stellantis, which is Dutch or Dutch or Belgian. But at the risk of sounding a racist, the Netherlands and Belgium are the same fucking country.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't keep track of things anymore. Globalization is weird.
Yeah.
But I've also just finished reading that. Have you heard of that Peter Zeihan guy? He's a global strategist and generalist. So he was on Joe Rogan, Brian Callen, and Jack Carr, who writes the Terminalist series. He was on all their podcasts, and I'm just like, holy shit, this guy knows a lot. Then he wrote a book.
No, never heard of him. What's his name again?
Peter Zeihan. So it's Zeihan, and he's fucking fascinating. I've been watching his daily videos on YouTube and all this other stuff, but basically he's talking about the collapse of globalization, because we started globalization at the end of World War II. So instead of like winning the war and just becoming an empire, like, and land grabbing everything, we just said, how about you guys fall in line, and like, we'll back your dollar with our dollar, which is gold backed, and then we'll patrol the seas, and everyone can just get along in free trade.
Yeah, which sounds like a great idea until you factor in the possibility that, you know, other countries can fail.
Yes.
And, you know, so like, say, just for example, a country like, I don't know, Italy decides to go bankrupt, and it's like, all right, well, we can't do this whole like debt credit thing anymore, and all our money's locked up in that, and then you failing makes our money worth less than it was. So, anybody want to do one of those big European wars sometime soon?
Well, there's one, there's that, and then there's two, is that it hasn't made sense for us since the Cold War ended.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, why are we're not like opposing really anything, which would have been Russia, since the end of World War, or since late 80s, early 90s. So like the whole like us patrolling the seas, giving everyone like free unfettered access to anything and everything, and hey, you can make this part cheaper, you can make this part cheaper, and all this, that, and the other, like, has just led to like all sorts of insanity. And so the China issue, where they like do the they just keep devaluing their currency and like printing more, and like how it's basically worthless, they say.
Yeah,
that's not just limited to them. Most Asian countries have done that, like including Japan, and I'm just like, holy crap.
Yeah, and the thing about that though is like there's going to be some big collapse sometime soon, and every time there's a big collapse, there's also a really bad war that follows it immediately. Mm-hmm. And that goes all the way back to, you know, the collapse of the Roman Empire. Like that's just a thing that fucking happened. Though it might not be a bad thing long term, because like initially it's going to suck. You know, people are going to go hungry, people are going to die in war, fucking shit's going to get destroyed. But on the flip side of that, like, and this is an American centric view on this, say World War III does kick off with China and shit, we're going to have to stop building shit in China, which means we're going to have to build it over here again, which means people over here will have, you know, better jobs than, you know, living in the fucking service industry. Because like, what is it? Like, you got doctors, lawyers, construction, and like truck drivers, and besides that, almost everything's, you know, fucking service industry now. But like, if we go back to, you know, industrializing shit, or, you know, just like making steel here.
Interesting that you bring that up, because I am from the Rust Belt.
Yeah. So, you know, like, I don't know how old you are, but I'm imagining either your dad or your granddad had a fucking nice ass job in, I don't know, Michigan or Ohio or somewhere, building fucking steel, and then that job went to fucking Mexico or China, and, you know, that, you know, fucked them pretty good.
Yeah. So broadly speaking, I'm from Lake Erie, between Buffalo, New York, and Erie, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Small town. And my dad was an electrician. My mom's a nurse. My grandpa did all sorts of shit after World War II. He was fucking interesting.
Yeah.
And that was on my dad's side, that grandpa. I know he worked in like a rail yard, and he was also a beer delivery driver. And on the other side, that grandpa was, I'm not sure, because he was more boring, but he was the one that taught me how to shoot.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting how, you know, that generation, or people from that generation are, you know, like people that like really made something out of themselves in, like, say, the 50s or 60s. And, you know, you look back now and it's like, oh, what do they do? Well, they worked in advertising for a while. They wrote a couple books, and, you know, they kind of dabbled in, you know, I don't know, medicine, got their PhD for a bit. Before that, you know, they killed a bunch of Nazis in World War II, and then, went out hunting every day in the 30s because they didn't have any, you know, money for food. So they just like kill everything to eat. It's like, whoa, hold on. Like, people nowadays are fucking boring. What did you do? Fucking, you graduated high school and now you I don't know. You failed out of community college and you make TikTok videos. Cool,
But
neat.
one or two of them like to, record those TikTok videos when they're on long distance runs, though. So,
Yeah.
can't make too much fun of them. At least one or two of them.
No, no, I'm not. I'm all over fucking TikTok, so I'm not. Most of my shit talking's in jest. But speaking of TikTok, I fucking love the fucking I don't know, discourse going around that right now. Where it's like, hey, TikTok's giving your information to China. It's like, yeah, and Facebook's selling it to them. So's Google Chrome. And are you on an iPhone right now? How about an Android? Where do you think your information's going, pal? Like, it's all going there in some way or form. I think people are just mad that, it's getting given to the Chinese instead of sold to them, which you're not getting that fucking money anyway. So,
They didn't click agree. So, and then a lot of people that are complaining about it aren't even using TikTok to begin with.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't have TikTok because I get sucked into the wormhole of Instagram enough, and I'm just like, oh, that's going to be a time suck, and I don't have enough time for another time suck.
Well, the thing about that, though, is all the good stuff on TikTok is going to get filtered through, like, the bullshit filter and end up on Instagram anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can bear to wait a week to get it.
I've never been one that needs to be on that forward leading edge of technology and fun, cool shit, because I'm not cool. In my mind, at least.
I mean, like, I would like to be because, how do I want to put this? People that show up on a platform first are the people that do the best there. Like, almost all the people that are huge, like, say, on YouTube, have been on YouTube since it's been up.
Right.
And, I'm trying to market, books and art and shit. And it would do great for me to be, like, one of the, I don't know, first people to show up on, say whatever app it is. But I never jump on that. By the time I get there, it's been up for 3 years and then it shits out. Like, I jumped on Vine at one point, and then, they closed the company, like, fucking, 2 weeks after I got there. I was like, oh, that's a bust.
Yep. Did you hear that there's the new one that ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, made, like, and they are slowly releasing? It's like Lemon 8 or whatever.
I have not. You say Lemon 8, like Lemon 8, 9?
Yeah, so lemon and then the number 8.
Huh. No.
And it's basically their version of Instagram. Yeah, like they're having like a slow rollout of it. Like they're not trying to make a lot of noise at it right now because, the government's trying to shut down TikTok.
Yeah.
And so they're like, well, we should probably diversify. Let's do this.
I mean, I would jump over to a new fucking Instagram. Like, I like Instagram. Like, that's where I think, as far as social media is concerned, like, that's where I feel like, the best home. But I also think that Instagram should go back to being like you get a, like, 2x2 square and one image and then like 150 words, and that's all your post can be. But
I did enjoy that a lot more, but I'm sure they have analytics behind like Reels performing better and capturing your eyeballs for longer periods of time, and that's why they're pushing the trend that way. But personally, like,
no, because people like TikTok did that first, and everybody left, or maybe not like quite left Facebook and Instagram, but started neglecting it in favor of.
They found a better new shiny toy.
Yeah. So they're trying to make the old toy the new toy, and it's like, hey man, it's cool that it also like lights up and makes a sound when I press it, but that's not why I got this.
I'm going to sound really fucking fun here, but I think it's an age barrier and gap thing. So if you look at like the different things, like, so you said you're 30? 31-ish?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm 38. So like when I was...
I'm actually a lot closer to 38 than 31, but...
Oh, fucking even better. So you'll get...
I don't know how much OPSEC we're...
I don't fucking care. I'm 38. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I'm 35.
And so I went in the Marines 2003, got out 2008, and like when I went in 2003, Facebook was like an invite only thing for college people.
And you had to like upload like your school ID to like prove that you were currently enrolled in a university.
Yeah, so like I couldn't get into Facebook when I was in the Marines, and then like it opened up, and then like cool, I'm in Facebook now. I could talk to like fucking 5 people that I went to high school with that I didn't see anymore. And then I don't know, it just became cooler and cooler and cooler. And then one day it's like my mom's on here. I'm like, I don't know if I want to be posting my dumb shit around my mom and my aunts anymore. So now it's like predominantly like, you know, our parents' age and above, and people complaining about TikTok and get off my lawn or whatever the hell they have to say, that it's just like, oh, this is a dumpster fire. Get me out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Like one like equals one fucking prayer for Christ, and like those weird things like that you see. You're like, Mom, why are you sharing this?
Yeah, no, I have noticed, as far as the one like's concerned, I have figured out that one like roughly equates to a penny in sales. So, I mean, you know, for every 1,000 likes I get on whatever, I end up getting about $100, which
nice.
I'm also like mid-30s kind of an asshole, and I'm not a supermodel, so you know I earned those likes. But going back to the new
you got them the hard way. You got calluses on your knees, bud.
Yep. No, but like going back to, you know, I don't like TikTok because, you know, XYZ or whatever. It's that or something else. You know, I don't like TikTok because the kids are on it. I don't like Facebook because the kids are on it. These kids are playing too much video games. These kids are watching too much TV. These kids are riding their bikes out. These damn kids with their hoops and their sticks out here, and it's like you can go back to like almost the beginning of recorded history, and there's always someone talking about how these damn kids are ruining society. And it's like, okay, well, so I mean, I don't think I'm really fucking it up that bad, but I mean, if everyone everywhere before now me does, then maybe the kids now aren't fucking it up. Maybe I'm just old. Got it.
I feel the same way because I used to be one of those kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like back with your Game Boys and your Pokemon.
Never had any of those. I had a boombox, and me and my brother had our little stunt bikes, and we'd go play with them out on the street, and like, you know, we'd sit outside with the boombox on the porch blasting whatever music we felt like. And there was a very specific neighbor across the street who did not appreciate our taste in music.
You damn kids, turn off that friggin' music and get off them damn bikes.
He had some choice terms for rap music.
Well, you know, I wasn't going to say them because I figured this was going to be public at some point. So
those are his words, not mine, and not Mr. Tripp Ainsworth. It was a undescribed neighbor of mine growing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I've been there, and I'm just like, kids, they like what they like.
Yeah.
Yeah, Facebook's for older people. Instagram is kind of our generation. Like maybe we're on the cusp leaning into TikTok, and then younger kids, they either like TikTok or Snapchat.
Yeah. And then like the other thing though too is people using, or I guess like kids using more, you know, advanced technology and all that for what they're just screwing around with. Now I'm not saying you should, you know, give a toddler a friggin' iPhone and say have fun, but to put things in a little bit of a different perspective, like people my age or people our age, like when we originally learned how to, like, say, edit photos, we had to take a photo with a camera that had film in it, and then, you know, make sure it got exposed right and all that, and then take it into a dark room and use a bunch of chemicals to you know, make sure that, you know, this image came out well, right? Nowadays, 13-year-olds are learning video editing on a phone. And it's like, well, dude, if you want society to advance, like, you kind of have to let society advance.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Like, my senior year English class, I opted out of English class and I took a video editing class instead.
Yeah, and I bet that was a massive pain in the ass.
It was a massive pain in the ass, but it actually helped me in like my current job that I have now. I've worked at this company for 12 years, but about 7 years ago, they started letting me make safety videos.
Nice. So you're to blame for that asshole in the hard hat telling me, make sure not to hit your hammer.
Oh, no.
Don't you make finger with hammer? No.
Fun ones. No, I would make
Yeah.
like company specific and fun ones. So like they were about a minute to 2 minutes long. They were literally just for my company and like very specific to like what we would do and stuff like that. And the only reason I got away with it is part of that class was learning how to write scripts. So I wrote a script
Mm.
for it and I showed it to the safety guy. And I'm like, this is what I would do. And he was like, this is amazing. Do you have a way to do this? I'm like, oh, I know there's a company camera somewhere. So I got a hold of that and like, I just like filmed it. And then like I asked a few random questions to like some people that knew some stuff where I'm just like, hey, I'm having like this sound quality issue. And they're like, do this. I'm like, okay, you're going to have to refilm. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I did that and like they paid for my editing software and I got about like 10 of them done and like people really just weren't paying attention. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm not doing this anymore.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it still is a company safety video. Like,
That and they paid me for it too.
yeah. So I mean, yeah. I mean, you're getting paid for it. Like,
Yep. Yeah. I was like, this is pretty awesome. But no, like as soon as someday I'll eventually like get this into like being on YouTube and which is not a hard barrier to get into. But I'll
yeah.
have to like edit the video and do stuff like that. I'm like, fuck, I'm already pretty handy with that. It won't be a hard thing for me.
Yeah. I mean, and like nowadays, friggin' like a lot of the editing software, like A is either intuitive or B, like there's years worth of friggin' information on how to's just publicly available on YouTube for some reason, or not, maybe not just for some reason, but
Oh fuck,
for
everything's on
people.
YouTube. How can I play this song on bass guitar? There it is.
Yeah,
Because you said you're a
I was watching
musician.
one channel and they were,
I
hmm?
tried. You said you were a musician, and I'm just like, I used to play bass guitar. I know that feeling.
Yeah, no, but like I was watching a YouTube video the other day and it was on what not not the politics of nuclear weapons in the Cold War, but um, maybe messaging and propaganda concerning nuclear weapons in the. Well, anyway, one of the big points of it was um, how a hydrogen bomb isn't actually a hydrogen bomb. It's like the term hydrogen bomb was like 1950s propaganda or misinformation put out from the U.S. government to make our enemies think the bomb's fuel was hydrogen. And it was a completely different thing. And then the video explained how to build a nuclear weapon. And it's like, okay, so this isn't secret. Well, I mean, this is what they say you can do. Oh, neat. So, I mean, like, granted, will never have the access to the materials, but like, I can go on YouTube and figure out how to make a fucking nuclear bomb. That's cool, I guess.
So you're on more than one government watch list now.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that, and I'm pretty sure that like once you have a fucking TS clearance, they just keep you on the list anyway, just to make sure you're not up to no good.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of clearances, when did you go in the Marine Corps and why did you go in?
I joined right after I graduated high school in '06 because before that I watched Fallujah on TV and wanted to go fight the enemy. Is the polite way to put that.
I know that feeling very well because the catalyst for my brother, who's 2 years older than me, and myself for going in, so my brother went in the Army, was 9/11.
Yeah. And then yeah. Anyway, you watch Fallujah on TV because they broadcast the whole damn thing. And then I was like, hey, cool, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go fight in Iraq. And then didn't go to Iraq. Went to Afghanistan twice, but never set foot in Iraq. Although, besides what the hell is it? Iran, I had my feet on the ground in all the countries around it. So it's like, well, I mean, that's kind of close, right?
Hey, that's pretty good, man. Maybe you should like go there as like a pilgrimage and just like walk across the border and then walk back. Like, been to Iraq.
After I'm sufficiently convinced that ISIS isn't a thing anymore.
I mean, that's probably a really good plan.
Yeah, like I'm gonna wait till they have another brutal dictator in charge of all of that happens because like I actually got a not a talking to, but like a hey, let's sit down and talk about your homework. When I was in high school. It was like right after the invasion of Iraq, and yeah, it was in a social studies or a civics class or something like that. And the point of the homework was like, hey, what should you do? What should we do in Iraq after this? And I was like, put another brutal dictator in charge, just make him pro-American, problem solved. Like whatever we're mad about, like we've been doing that in South America and Africa for like what 50 years. Like it, I mean, when it works, and when it doesn't, we just reinvade anyway. So I mean, why not?
Well, except for Iran, it didn't work there.
I mean, it worked for the Iranians, and we haven't been in. Oh, actually, no, I don't want to say we haven't been in open war with Iraq, but or
Well,
with Iran, but yeah, we did do
before
a
their
pretty hard
Shah
proxy
and like
war.
all that, like we put a pro-American person in, and then they revolted, and that's how they got like the Shah and the Mullah and like all that craziness. Like it went from like quasi-normal to extremely pro-American to what it is now.
Yeah,
Like
like I said,
in a
when it works, it
span
works,
of
and when it
five
doesn't, then
years.
fuck it.
Yeah, but we
Yeah,
haven't reinvaded. You said
yet
we would reinvade. We didn't.
soon, soon. Actually, I don't know if we. I mean, I know that the possibility is there for us to go to war with Iran, but I think that it wouldn't ever be, hey, just us. Let's go into Iran. I think it would be a shit pops off with China, or we get involved with something going on with Russia, and then Iran just takes the other side. And we're like, well, hey, you know what? Since you're on the other side, let's go ahead and send a couple divisions there.
I think it's not going to be till we get the blessing from Israel because it's going to directly affect them because it's their backyard.
Yeah, or say World War III pops off, and then we just tell Israel we won't retaliate if they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of like the thing with the one of the things like one of the insurance programs, I guess you would call it, with the or oil trading with Saudi, or I guess Saudi Arabia's oil trading in general. So like they trade oil exclusively in dollars. Like they just changed. They went over to China for natural gas. That's not oil, so it is a different conversation. But there's a treaty we signed. I forget what it's called, but it was signed sometime back in the '60s, and it pretty much says that Saudi Arabia will only trade crude oil in U.S. dollars, and the United States will not let Israel invade Saudi Arabia. So it's like, all right, well, all you got to do is stop doing this or that, and then we'll tell Israel, hey, you guys, that thing that you've been wanting to do, go for it.
That sounds like a fucking spicy weekend.
It does, and I'm not saying I hope it happens, but that's you know the world we live in.
Yeah, it's definitely wild. So, you went in 2006 for watching Fallujah. What did you go in for? What was your MLS?
So I went in as a what the hell was it? So I went in as a combat illustrator, which the two things wrong with that is a your recruiter tells you everything is combat because a marine's a marine, right?
Yep.
And then also the MLS title has combat in it, so I must go to combat, right? Well, I get to the schoolhouse. So. Yeah, logically, right? Like, huh. I mean, little did I know that if the logic is there, then something is wrong. Anyway, I go to the schoolhouse, and I'm actually it's a joint schoolhouse. It's at Fort Meade in Maryland, and I was the last Marine to go through the illustrator class before they merged it with printing. So when I got to the fleet, I was in a print shop. Luckily, the way the Marine Corps works was, graphics, printing, photo, and video were all in the same shop or platoon or whatever.
Okay.
So I get to the fleet. Everybody goes to fucking Iraq minus like 10 dudes. And then in 2008, they're like, hey, you guys know Afghanistan's still going on, right? We're going to send a battalion to Afghanistan. And I was like, I want to go. And they're like, what are you going to do? You don't know. Like, you're a fucking printer. I was like, teach myself photography. Like, give me a week. It took longer than a week, and I only ever got like passable at it, but still got me enough to get my feet on the boat, and deployed 4 times depending on how you count. Well, maybe 5 depending on how you count them. Like, I don't know if you count Muse or like Okinawa. So like I really only said went twice, but I went to 2 Afghans and then did 2 Muse. But
How does an Okinawa deployment work?
I will get to that in a moment. Because there's
All
a
right.
couple different ways it works. But over all but one of those deployments, I went as a photographer, even though it was never my MOS. And then the last one, I went as PsyOps because I got voluntold into another MOS for a few years.
Oh, I love it
But
when that happens.
oh, dude, no. So fucking the Marine Corps, I don't know, maybe about a decade back now, decided that they needed a fucking PsyOps unit, and nobody was volunteering for it. So they just grabbed people from across the Corps and said, "You're PsyOps now. So you're gonna go to Fort Bragg and go to the fucking like pipeline at the JFK Special Warfare Center. It's the same schoolhouse that Green Berets go to. It's not the same class. That doesn't mean the same thing. Like, you put Navy SEALs and admin dudes in the same schoolhouse. That doesn't mean they're learning the same shit. But okay, cool. I'll go pretend like I'm doing cool guy shit.
So it's under the same roof.
Yeah, and I don't know how much you know about PsyOps, but it's mostly fucking boring ass intel work. And the other thing is, like, the higher your clearance goes, the more boring the shit gets. Because you think, oh, hey, I'm getting this secret clearance. I'm going to learn about aliens in every Area 51. It's like, no, it's all compartmentalized. You still don't know anything you don't need to know. And all your fucking secret clearance is good for is who's going to be when and where. So cool. Like, it's going to be outdated fucking information in 3 weeks. And they're not even going to talk about the shit on the History Channel in 20 years. Like, Hitler is not coming back with the aliens for this info.
Yep.
Yeah. But I do get to know that there's X amount of troops in this city in fucking, I don't know, Iraq or Afghanistan, or like on this boat somewhere. It's like, neat. I don't like living in a skiff, but whatever. Yeah, so fucking PSYOP sucks. But after that, no, I had to lat move back into my MLS to get out of that command. Like, it was they wanted you there that bad. I was like, well, I'm not gonna re-enlist you here. Sorry. All right, we'll let you and go back. And then I couldn't go back to like what is it? Go back to be like an illustrator because that didn't exist anymore, and I wasn't actually a photographer, so I had to lat move into video to go back to combat camera.
Okay.
Yeah. And then going back to how Okinawa deployments work, and the deployment I'm going to put parentheses around, or quotation marks around, because it hasn't been a deployment since 1945. But you either go there and you go to the north end of the island to pretty much just do jungle warfare training for 5 or 6 months, or you go there and get on the 31st MEU that's there, and then do a little bit of jungle warfare training, and then float around the Southeast Asia.
Yeah, so it'd be like the Philippines, Thailand area, Indonesia.
Yeah. So, I mean,
everywhere but Vietnam.
Actually, I knew some dudes that went to Vietnam. They fucking love it. Like, and it was funny because they get back on the boat, and because if you're on a MEU, there's more than one boat there or ship, and if you go into port, they don't always go to the same port. Like I was on one, and we went to, like, our ship went to Singapore, another ship went to Cambodia, another ship went to fucking Vietnam, and then
what kind of ship were you on?
I was on LHD. I was actually my first MEU. I was on the USS Macon Island on its maiden voyage, and then my second MEU, which I wrote my first 2 books on, I was on the Bonhomme Richard, which isn't a boat anymore.
Yep, I remember when that happened.
Yeah, and fucking that was so fucked up too, because like everybody's like blaming this, like everyone in the chain of command. It's like, you weren't watching after this, you weren't watching after that. Fucking, they already fucking like charged, or not charged, but relieved of command, like some like flag officers, and then we're still trying to charge this like E2 or E3 for negligently setting the boat on fire. And it's like, well, wait, hold on, if it's the It's Catherine's fault. Why are you charging him? Do you have any evidence for him? No. So you just want to pin it on somebody. Got it. Shut up, baby. But yeah, no. I knew. What is it? So like we went in the port. We went to Singapore, or my boat went to Singapore. Somebody else went to Cambodia. Someone else went to Laos, and then I hooked up with the combat camera dudes afterwards. They're like, "Yeah, dude. Like, I never thought I'd say this, but they're doing communism right, man." I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, you mean you go to a bar, you get $20, you get shit house drunk, you get to sing karaoke all night, and you get to bang 3 chicks. Like for $20, yeah." I'm like, "Oh fuck." All right, so I'm not saying communism is a good thing, but you know, maybe just the Vietnamese are doing it right.
Dude, I was telling my girlfriend a few weeks ago, I'm like, I'd love to go to Vietnam. She's like, really? That's pretty cool. It sounds awesome. I'm like, yeah, I know. I want to see their war museum from their point of view. Because they call it the American War, and in their eyes, like, they won, like, because we went away. And, like, the entire country is no longer North Vietnam or South Vietnam. It's just Vietnam. I'm like, I kind of want to see it.
And then, like, it's funny, because they don't have that much animosity towards us in general for that, because right after we left, the Chinese invaded, and
they fucking hate the Chinese.
I guess, Chinese war, like what, 2-3 years after that.
Yep.
And then they kicked the fucking Chinese. They kicked the fucking Chinese out. Like when we went there, like we quote unquote lost, but you know at the end of the war, you know we went to sign the Paris Accords. You know, us North Vietnam and South Vietnam all signed a treaty. The war stopped, we left, and then North Vietnam kicked the war back off and, invaded the South after we left. But when the Chinese invaded, they kicked the Chinese out.
Yep.
It's like, oh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's one of those places where it's like, maybe people shouldn't try and invade.
Yeah. I mean, also a little fucked up to say, but the only people that did it successfully were the fucking Japanese. And, it took us nuking them to get them out. So
the Japanese did everything brutally in that time period, though. Like, the rape of Nanking was just like the tip of the fucking iceberg. That's just what we knew about.
Yeah, I think I was reading somewhere that across the Japanese Empire, there was approximately like 10,000 deaths a day. Like, or like murders committed by the fucking Japanese army.
That sounds completely feasible given what I know.
Yeah. Like, it was bad. Like, they weren't as bad as the Nazis, but, like, it was pretty damn close.
In ways they were, and in ways they weren't.
I mean, I guess it depends on, your view on worse. So, like, instead of rounding people up and sending them to camps and, exterminating them there, they just shot them in the field.
Yeah, like right in front of everyone to get the rest of them in line.
Yeah.
No, I have a buddy who's half Filipino, so his dad was in the Navy and met his mom. Go figure out how that one worked.
Yeah. No
idea.
idea.
Oh, she's definitely not a former call girl. And he knows it, though. And so, like, his grandma, like, came over at one point. His grandma barely spoke English. I've met her before. And she's tried to stab me once. Side story. And yeah, but she would tell my buddy stories about the Japanese invading during World War II and how also pretty much fuck the Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe that was the first time they mistakenly thought she died.
All right.
When they were killing everyone in that town.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay. So the Philippines was brutal.
Yeah.
And wait.
Yeah, no, in the Philippines has only like gotten like just slightly less fucked up, I guess. Like, there's still like a huge insurgency going on in is it pronounced Mindanao? Like the big island down south?
I have no idea.
Oh. Well, I think it's Mindanao. It's the big island down south, but the ethnic group down there is called Moro, and they're all Muslims, which leads to the greatest fucking terrorist group name ever, which is the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. There is literally a violent extremist organization in the Philippines called MILF.
Fuck yes. I was spelling that in my head as you were saying it. I was like, oh, he's gonna say it. That's like that joke from what Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where it's like,
Oh,
the clit.
yeah, the Click Commander.
The clit, which is an offshoot of the labia. And fuck, he's Coalition for the Liberation of Inanimate Tree Dwellers. And then fuck, what was God? It was so fucking good though.
That was pretty great.
Yeah, that little like fake news tirade bit moment. I was dying. I was also piss hammered.
Yeah, but like that's like this life imitate art, or is art imitating life here? No, but like anyway, speaking of the Philippines being all fucked up, actually remind me, I got a buddy with a not call girl wife story after this. But I didn't meet anybody super late in my career that ever saw action in the Philippines. But when I first got to Camp Pendleton, there was a handful of sergeants and corporals, guys that have been in for a little bit that had combat action ribbons from the MU they went on, and got off in the wrong place in the Philippines, to go do shit and got some action. It's like, okay, so stuff at least 20 years ago was still going on where Americans were fighting there.
Yeah. Because the Philippines, so for a while, that's where we were sending people for like counterinsurgency schools and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Was like that sort of a deployment, going to the Philippines and like doing jungle warfare there and learning counterinsurgency against the MILFs, I guess.
Yeah. I want to go to the jungle and fight.
I feel like there's a storyline in this for you somewhere.
Anyway, so I had a buddy, might be loose term, guy I used to talk to in the smoke deck. How about that?
Got it.
But he was married to the Philippines, right?
Yes.
And she'd only been in the States for a little bit. And she spoke well enough English, unless she got excited or, like pissed off or like anything outside of just like your normal walking around emotion, like just goes out the window. And he was saying one time, fucking, they were in bed and they're starting to get a little spicy, and she goes, to get some lube, but instead of lube, she grabs the hand sanitizer and rubs it all over her downstairs, and then starts screaming in fucking Tagalog, runs to the bathroom and just like shoves her pussy under the fucking faucet trying to get water on it. And he comes in freaking out. He's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And she starts screaming at him, Tagalog, because she's excited and can't remember English. And he's like, "Use English." He's like, "Spicy pussy, spicy pussy."
Oh God, that's great.
Yeah.
I had no idea where that was going to go, but I was so happy it went there.
Well, it had to go somewhere.
Well, I know, but it could have went a million ways. Doesn't know English that well. Gets spicy in bed. You tied it all together beautifully.
Well, I wasn't there for it. It was secondhand. It could have been complete bullshit. You know what? Like, that's one of those stories that it's like, dude, if that didn't actually happen to your wife, why are you telling me that?
Man, you have a really good imagination about talking about your wife if you're telling something like that and it didn't actually happen.
Yeah. So I tend to trust that story happened. Actually, let me tie that back. I want to believe.
I want to believe it too now. I'm on your side for that one. Like, that one needs to be real.
Yeah. It has to be. It has to be. Okay, it's like the story's dead in a coffin, and like we're pushing it over the side of like a fucking ship, and we're all standing around like we all know that story's bullshit, right? And then like yeah, but no one can ever know. And then like you like light a cigarette and stare off into the distance, and like, all right, swearing ourselves secrecy on this, right? Yeah.
All right, so that covers Mew and an Okinawa deployment. So you said you also went to Afghanistan.
Yeah, I went in 2008 with 2-7, and then in 9 and 10 with 3-4. Yeah, to Afghanistan those 2 times. Yeah.
Nice. So you got attached to infantry units then.
Yeah, yeah, and then like they didn't really know what to do with us. So my whole first deployment, fucking, you get there and it's like, okay, so who are you? We're the combat camera dudes. What do? We take pictures of shit. All right, so what do you actually do? That's a good question. The SimOS shouldn't exist, but you know what? I'm having fun doing it. So what do we do? And I get put in I pretty much just get put in a cat platoon for the whole fucking deployment, which, depending on what battalion you're with, cat is either combined armored assault team or combined anti-tank team, which pretty much their job is to, blow up Russian tanks from, and also not be in tanks while you're doing it. But since, the Taliban didn't have tanks, we were just the support by fire convoy support dudes, because, we had trucks with 50 cals and tail missiles and Mark X teams and shit. So it's, mostly assaultmen and tow gunners and machine gunners.
That's pretty awesome. So
yeah,
is that where you got the storyline for the first book?
Yeah. Actually, most. I don't want to say most. A lot of the Iraq stuff in that first book is either stuff that happened on that deployment or stuff that those guys had been through on previous deployments, like my squad leader on that, or on my first deployment, I think his first deployment was EMU, and then his second deployment was invading Iraq, and then his third deployment was like Fallujah. So he had a lot of good stories in there. And I didn't want to be like everybody else that I'm gonna go to war, I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna write a book about how fucking cool I am. It's like, no, that's stupid. Only 2 people have ever done that the right way. And most of those books just fucking suck. Like, say what you want about Chris Kyle. A, he did not write American Sniper. Someone else wrote it and tagged his name on it. And B, the person that wrote the book for him didn't do a good job writing the fucking book. And, I don't want to be labeled up with those dudes with some book called My Tell-All about fucking being a combat cameraman and fucking fighting in a war in the Marine Corps. So I made it fiction. And then I moved it to Iraq because there was plot stuff that I needed to be in Iraq for instead of Afghanistan.
Nice. Well, I think you definitely made the right choice there, because it's fucking wildly entertaining.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you liked it.
Oh, dude, it's like totally up my alley. There's like military stuff. Obviously, fucking, I have a, hard on for the Marine Corps, because there I was in the Marine Corps for a little bit. And then it's just got sci-fi and weirdness and just fucking funness, but also just pure fucking debauchery.
Oh yeah. And then we can go to the
fucking an alien.
Yeah. We can go into the debauchery stuff here in a minute, but and for, I guess, those of you listening at home, this is going to sound like major spoilers. It's not. It happens really early in the fucking book. But they get stuck in that like ancient Babylonian temple, right?
Yes, the underground one.
Because Babylon was in Iraq, fucking Sumeria, Acadia, all those like weird friggin' like
the Fertile Crescent, the cradle of civilization. This is where we learned about.
Yeah, like all those like ancient civilizations happened in Iraq. Friggin' those stories happened in Iraq. If they built any temples like that, which they did a lot, but most of them aren't underground and filled with booby traps and all that shit. But that shit's in Iraq. If I wanted to do that in Afghanistan, then it's like, well, either it didn't happen here, or the few temples they did had the Taliban fucking destroyed in the fucking 90s. So if I wanted to make that about Afghanistan, I would have had to make the main character fucking, I don't know, a Russian soldier that was there in the fucking 70s. You know, it's like, no, I'm good. Or I could have like gone all the way back and like made him a British soldier in the fucking World War II or some shit, fighting the Ottoman Empire. But
Or Alexander the Great.
yeah, but you go back far enough, and it's like, well, then that stuff's not like ancient freaky stuff. It's just shit that's happening now, you know.
Yep.
But say I did do it, Alexander the Great, fucking fucking Hank and Doc, the characters, they wouldn't have came home. If I did it with a British soldier in World War I or II, they'd have come home and then like, hello, ma'am, may I interest you in a drink, instead of, you know, accidentally getting pissed on while you're fucking going down on a fat chick outside of a fucking bar in San Diego, you know? Like,
Again,
I need
more
some
of the right
contemporary
choice.
shit. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think mustache parties existed in fucking the. Well, I'm sure someone had a mustache party in the fucking 30s, but it was probably not the same kind of mustache
Oh, 30s Britain, 30s and 40s, World War II era Britain. Did you see those mustaches on those Brits?
party.
They
Yeah,
had the very classy, oh, top of the morning, ma'am, would you like a mustache ride? Or however the fuck they would say it, because they call an elevator a lift.
yeah.
What would be the term for a mustache ride in British? I need to find this out. God damn it.
That would be a good relunking.
Would you care for a mustache? Oh, fuck. It's got to be a good word for
Would you
ride.
like to treat my mustache like a trolley, good ma'am?
Have you ever ride a mustache like it was a bicycle, lady?
Instead of putting your fanny on the seat, you put your fanny on my nose,
Nope,
and you
nope.
go for a ride.
I got it. I got it. What do they call
So,
what do they call the subway in London?
what did they call it?
The underground or the tube? So would you care for a mustache underground?
Would you like to ride my tube afterward?
Now we're on to something. I feel like we're really getting to the bottom of this.
These are the important questions.
Exactly. Not your backstory or anything like that. How do you offer a mustache ride in case we have to go back in time to World War II era London?
Right. No. And then like say I did something like I made Hank and Doc fucking Captain Marines, but instead of, you know, whatever bullshit they went through in Iraq, you know, it was all on shit. You know what? I'm not even fucking historying right now. I'm sure there's some like weird temple somewhere from some ancient religion on some Pacific island somewhere, but I know that it wasn't Guadalcanal or fucking Peleliu. So I guess it would have had to happen on fucking Okinawa. But then they come back to fucking San Diego in 1946. They're not going to be doing the kind of shit they do in that book in 1946. You know, like I know that like, you know, people don't. Well, no, not even that, but like, you know, and I know that like, the reason that we don't think that like, you know, our dads or granddads or great granddads were debaucherous assholes was because they didn't put it on fucking Facebook in the fucking 50s. But like, I know that like that kind of shit happened, but could somebody reading that now really relate to that?
I feel like they would.
Or the way that they would have done it?
Feel like they would, because my grandpa was Navy in World War II, Fleet Marine Forces, Pacific Theater. So he described it as going to Camp Pendleton for 2 weeks to learn how to use a machine gun. And then his job was being in charge of the high water mark on the islands. So he never talked about it, but I'm like, he did something.
Yeah.
So actually,
Yeah, no, like my granddad, he has a lot of stories about being in the service. None of them that he tells have anything to do with being in Korea. He'll talk to you all day long about all the other shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, my grandpa was like that too. A great Christmas story that I remember from growing up was the boat that he was on had a brig on it. Nobody was ever in the brig, but you're aware of steel beach parties?
Oh yeah.
So it was like that concept where like once a month they'd like, you know, get their beers or whatever and all that, but they kept the beers in the brig because nobody was ever in the brig. And so he was on guard duty one day and he shot the lock off the brig and him and his buddy got piss hammered. And the end of the story was, and the chaplain walked in and he asked who shot the lock off the thing. And we denied everything, and that son of a bitch couldn't figure it out while the 9 mil was in my hand.
Fucking my granddad has got a story about he so he was in like joined the army, got out of the Air Force era.
Okay.
Um, but while he was stateside, because he was in for a little bit. I forget if it was like either in Montana or one of the Dakotas or some shit. And bomber fucking crashed, and him and like four other dudes had to go guard the remains of this bomber so they can get the fucking logistics together to go pick up all the pieces and stuff. But it's that area is sparsely populated. No one was going up there. Their job was to make sure that no one's flipping the shit away. But while they're up there, they get like their per diem or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
for the week you're supposed to be there, and they made sure that they had enough eggs and beans to feed them because eggs and beans are cheap, and they spent the rest of the fucking money on beer, and they had one guy that had to be sober enough in case an officer showed up, and they took turns night by night, and then they just got shit housed the whole time they're up there watching these fucking remains. It's like, well, I mean, fucking, we're out in the. I mean, that area is not the desert, but it's close enough. Fucking, we're out in the desert, just watching this fucking crashed airplane.
So I have an interesting per diem story from that. What's your feelings on the Osprey first and foremost?
Like flying in it, it's weird, but okay. I don't know. Overall, I think it's neat. Kind of, but I mean, I never really got like I don't have a strong opinion about it either way.
All right, well that's fine. That's the bird I used to work on. So when I was in, and my first unit's job was to take the Osprey from experimental to fleet operational. So we do desert test and evaluation. So officers picked a desert location. They picked one out west. Our unit's from New River, North Carolina, Camp Lejeune area. They're like, all right, so we got to pick a good centralized location, and needs to be a desert area. Nellis Air Force Base, 15 minutes off the Las Vegas strips. We were there for 2 months, and they paid us per diem. It was fucking amazing. So like, one, we're on an Air Force base, and we damn near ran the joint, and so I was on night crew, so I didn't get to do as much fun shit. My best friend, who was my roommate at the barracks, he was on day crew, and him and a sergeant left work every day at 4, took the work van, drove to the Spearmint Rhino, and went to the strip club every night. Didn't matter if they had money or not. They became friends with every woman that worked there. It was amazing. Just like 2 months being in Vegas, all expense paid trip.
Fucking remind me, I have a story about air wingers and why you're all assholes after this.
Oh, but, I already know we're all assholes.
But when I was stationed in Tornado Palms, which is maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Vegas, if you don't want to drive like a fucking pussy. Otherwise, it's not that far. But I'm at the fucking combat camera shop down there, and they have this convention in Vegas. It's a week long, and it's for like broadcast photojournalism or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like big industry fucking shit. So I convinced my command that me and 5 other Marines need to go TAD Vegas for a week to, go to this industry, conference event thing, so that the Marine Corps is staying up to times with what the civilian world's doing. And get up there, and we're on PTAD, hotels fucking paid for, food, all that shit. And it's also like the week after a payday, so like I take fucking Lance Corporal. It's like me, a corporal, and a couple Lance Corporals, and we go up there, and I was the senior man, so my instructions with them were like, all right, hey, listen, every day I need you to find something at this fucking conference and be able to talk intelligently about it when we get back, but like one thing per day. All right, make some contact, whatever. If it takes you all day, it takes you all day. If it takes you 15 fucking minutes, it takes you 15 fucking minutes. If you understand what I'm saying, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'll meet you here tomorrow at 7 a.m. All right, all right.
That sounds perfect.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, back to fucking airliners being assholes. Okay, so
lay this one on me. I'm ready.
Okay, so one of you, fucking shift deployment, and we're doing a lot of like helicopter fucking assault training, which for listeners at home, this implies you're on a boat, you're on a helicopter, fly around the helicopter for 2 hours, you land in the desert or the jungle or whatever, you go shoot a bunch of fucking desert or jungle or whatever, like just targets that are standing up. You get back on the helicopter, you fly 2 hours back to the fucking ship. So we're flying, back to the fucking ship, and I'm sitting in the back of this fucking, I think we were in a CH-53, so helicopter, the size of a fucking city bus. You fit a bunch of motherfuckers in it. And then the fucking crew chief fucking guy, the guy that's, there to, work on the fucking plane if it goes down. He also mans the machine guns, that kind of stuff. He starts freaking out about something, and like I look at him, and like this dude's like running around, he's got his hands in the air, fucking. He starts pulling panels out of the fucking like baseboard of the fucking plane or out of the fucking helicopter, and like I'm freaking out because if the guy that's job is to make sure the plane's in the air is freaking out, something must be fucking bad. Also, if you haven't been on a helicopter, listeners at home, they're fucking loud as fuck. You cannot hear anything, so everything's like hand and eye fucking communication. So he points at me. And he tells and like does the like thumb jerk back over here to come over here. So I come over there, and he's got this lever that's under, like he had to like remove a panel on the floorboard, and there's this lever down there, and he's like pumping it, like pulling it up and pushing it down, fucking like relentlessly.
I think I know where this one's going.
Yeah, and he tells me to fucking do it, and like I'm there, I'm just like pumping this fucking lever for like 5 minutes freaking out while he's like running around the fucking rest of the thing. And everybody's like freaking out, like, what the fuck's going on? What the fuck's going on? What the fuck's going on? And then eventually like taps me, gives me the thumbs up, and like, tells me to get back in my, or like thumbs back to my seat, tell me to go sit back down. And, and like, he's got this really worried look on his face. And I'm like, okay, all right. Did we just fucking avert disaster? What the shit's going on? 2 days later, I find out that that's actually the parking brake. Like for the wheels, like that are down. That has nothing to do with that fucking thing being flown in the air.
Oh yeah. So on CH-46s, I've heard of guys doing that before. Except that pump in the back is the auxiliary pump for the ramp.
Yeah, it doesn't fucking do anything. Has nothing to do with being in the air.
In the slightest.
All it does is make sure the thing doesn't roll when it's parked. That's it.
Yep.
And part of me was mad, but the other part of me was like, you know what? If I was in that position, I'd be doing that shit too.
No, I had one. So what you said earlier about like how you just kind of got thrown into psyops, that's the way the Osprey was in the early days. It's just like, oh yeah, you want to re-enlist? Hey, looks like you're smart enough to go work on aircrafts. You're going to Ospreys. And people are like, I don't want
So were you originally for Ospreys then, or did you come in doing like 46s or Hueys or some shit and get bumped over?
My original contract was not for anything Air Wing, but I was immediately disqualified from my civilian record as a child.
Okay.
I went in for signals intelligence. That's what my original contract was signed for, and I couldn't get a security clearance when I was on Paris Island.
Oh, okay.
And so it was basically just, I forget where the fuck we were. It was like early third phase, and they're like, well, we can't fulfill your contract, so you can go home or you can sign an open contract. And I'm like, give me that open contract, because it's 2003, and basically Iraq had just kicked off, and we were still kind of in Afghanistan. And by we, I mean the Marine Corps. So I'm like, fuck, man, they'll probably make me infantry. This is going to be great.
Wait, hold on, real quick, though. I just want to clear some stuff up. So you couldn't go SIGINT because you couldn't get a top secret clearance, so they're gonna send you to be in the air wing where you know all the secret parts of a helicopter.
So the only part of aviation which needs a security clearance is avionics, aviation electronics, because it's the same thing you
Yeah.
said earlier, where it's just like they're doing the radio.
Mm.
What's it called? Like they're loading the data into the radio, so it's encrypted,
Oh,
and that's really the only thing. Like I can hop on the internet right now and I can find every piece of information from airframes and hydraulics for the Osprey. Like
okay. So it's like a different guide still.
yeah. So like I did airframes and hydraulics, so I mean it's carbon fiber aircraft. Carbon fiber work is very easy to figure out. And the hydraulics work that I did, like it's all damn near open source. The engines on the Osprey, fuck. I know they use them on a different aircraft. I want to say they're C-130 engines. I might be wrong though, but
Are they C-130 engines?
if they're not, they're similar. I know they've standardized to that engine. So like one of the things they did is they tested the Osprey engine in CH-53s, and it was way too powerful, and it tweaked their airframe, which is why they went to the CH-53. I think they're the kilos now, which are carbon fiber also.
Uh-huh.
Now I know a decent amount about the air wing, but I've lost so much. Like I mean, I got out before they switched to whatever they're on now with the Hueys and Cobras with the four blades, the Hueys and Vipers, whatever they are. But yeah, no, those so the 53s are the kilos now. Those are carbon fiber, and they have the same engine as the Osprey, and there's 6,150 shaft horsepower.
Okay.
And thinking about that, you're like, yeah, that's a reasonable number. And then you're like, 6,150 shaft horsepower. That's a lot of fucking horsepower. I mean, my car is like 200.
Yeah. No, and I was kind of, thought it was like funny as like a joke for a while about like, oh, hey, fucking, this airplane's got, fucking 6,000 horsepower, so let's get 6,000 horses together and, get them flying. But what's funny about that is like the reason that the term horsepower came about was back when they were selling like tractors back in like the fucking like 1890s to like the 1920s or whatever, and horsepower was originally coined as a term for how many horses that engine can replace on a farm. So if you have a tractor that's 5 horsepower, that's 5 horses you don't need.
Oh.
So, plow the field. Yeah.
So do you know that horsepower is an actual unit of measure?
It got standardized into that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like the ability to move 1 ton, 1 meter in 1 second, I believe. I know there's 1 meter in 1 second in upwards lift. I don't remember the exact weight, though.
Yeah, no, that checks out, though. I mean, it's got to be something. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's 2 of those engines inside the Osprey, and then the 53 being a heavy lift bitch that it is. I think there's 3 or 4 engines. Which is wild if you think about it, because 47s have more lift capacity than a 53, and they're... Fuck. I don't know how to describe a 47 versus a 53, because we don't even have 47s, but after I got out, I worked on those as a civilian contractor.
Yeah, I don't know. Fucking, I've never been in a Chinook. But, I mean, like, fucking, what is it? The CH-46 is kind of like a small Chinook.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of the same thing.
They were made by the same people.
I mean, they're almost the same fucking bird, but just a little bit smaller.
Yep. So the 47, the Chinook, is a heavy lift helicopter. The 46 is a medium lift helicopter, even though it's still got a lot of fucking lift.
Yeah. I think the CH-46s were always like really smooth rides too, like especially compared to the Sea Stallions.
Yeah, that's what everyone's always told me.
Yeah.
All right, so we got fucking massively sidetracked by my air wing stupidity. Where the hell
Oh, it
were
happened.
we, where are we with your? I guess we were talking about the book and Muse. Or not
Oh,
Muse,
yeah.
Afghanistan.
Yeah, yeah. So
Have we
with
mentioned the name of
Afghanistan,
your book yet?
it's called Smoke Pit Fairy Tales. It's by me. If you want to get it on Amazon. You can get it at Barnes and Noble, but don't, because on Amazon it's $15 and I get like a $4 cut. If you get it at Barnes and Noble, it's $25 and I get like 38 cents because I don't control that shit on
Oh.
the fucking that end. So if you want my book, yeah, buy it online.
Also, it's available for free on his website, but he also has like 100 more books after that. Less than
Yeah,
100.
and like you can't like get like a physical copy. You can just like read it on the website. But yeah, no, absolutely, you can read it on the website.
I read the first chapter online, and then I'm like, I'm buying this.
Yeah, no, because it's a good book.
That, and I hate reading things
Well,
online. But that first chapter, I'm like, I am sucked in.
well, no, and that was great too. Like fucking one of the things that like got sales up was putting it up for free on the website because at first like if I'm trying to get you to read my book, it's like, hey, listen, I got to get you to commit to this. I got to get you to like go on Amazon, and if you don't have Amazon, I get you to sign up or like drive your ass to fucking Barnes Noble and like buy this thing, and then like either wait for it to come in the mail or like drive home or whatever, or you just go to my fucking website and just read it there free, like right now, and then like you don't it like it's not gated. You don't have to pay anything. You can just open it up and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you don't put the rest of the books on there, and you leave the first one off with a fucking cliffhanger. So you want to know, like, fuck, what happens next? Well, okay, you actually have to buy that one.
So, what inspired you to go with the classic age-old story of Marine meets alien, Marine bangs alien?
Um,
Because I love that joke that I know aliens aren't real because a Marine's not fucking one yet.
yeah. There is a reason that there are aliens in that book. Um, and it's not really revealed like why they're there. I mean, like like in the story, why they are in the story, but like if you're reading it, you're like, why are aliens here? It kind of plays out like in the I guess fourth, fifth, and sixth books and so on. Like significance that there are aliens, but those aliens being there specifically isn't really addressed. Not addressed, but like why it's important to the story doesn't come out as uh under. I don't even want to say understandable, but like let's say there's 9 books out now, right? And the 10th book, the one, and the 10th book's done, but I'm not going to release it until I have the 10th, 11th, 12th done. Drop them all 3 at the same time. But because of what's going on in the story in the 10th book, it like kicks you right in the face. Like, oh, these are the reason that the aliens were here the whole fucking time. So like it's yeah, excuse me. The whole story is going to be 12 books long when it's done, but not everything is told to you why it's happening until the bow starts getting tied up at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, but I guess if you want to go into it, have you read the other books or just the first one?
Um, I'm about 50
I
pages from the end of the first one. And then I have the
okay,
second one that's just waiting for me. And it's, yeah, basically, I'm just going to roll through all of these like as fast as I can because they're wildly entertaining.
okay, all right. So uh, for the people at home, and I guess you, no major spoilers, but what happens in the second one is there's aliens here, and they didn't just come to fucking America; they went everywhere. Um, in the distant future of 2020, Hank and Doc are on the Baltic Sea rotational force, and they're in East Europe when the Russians invade. Um, and I also made the Russians a formidable enemy, which if I'd have known that they were a paper tiger, I would have picked a more competent villain like Thailand or Guatemala. But hey, listen, it was 2015 when I wrote this. I thought the Russians were worth the hype. But one of the reasons that the Russians are able to just steamroll through fucking Europe is because they're using alien technology to do it. And we have that alien technology too, but because this story is told from the point of view as an enlisted guy, the Russians show up, just absolutely fuck everything, and then before American reinforcements show up, it takes 4 months, and the English and the Germans and the Italians are there first, and they're sitting around bitching hey, so this alien thing, the Russians have it, the Germans have it here, the fucking Italians have it here. Why isn't the American fucking alien shit here yet? Because the S4 sucks is why it's not here yet. And if you're listening at home, you know what the S4 is. That's the supply section of a military unit. But that's one of the reasons that I needed aliens there, because I had a basic outline for what I wanted to do with the entire series before I even started writing the first one. Nice. So there was a lot of stuff sprinkled in for, hey, I want this to be there for reasons.
So you said the 12th, or not edition, the 12th book is going to be the final one?
In the series, yeah.
Are you going to write another series after that, or undecided?
I have ideas for stuff I want to write, and they're all in the same universe, but they're not the same characters. They're not always at the same time. And then some things have nothing to do with the story whatsoever, except for, say, the characters in these other books that I'm planning. The only way that they'll be tied back to fairy tales at all is that they're reading 50 Shades of Dave,
Oh, that's sweet.
Which, for those of you who haven't read the book at home, fucking 50 Shades of Dave is the book that the characters read in the book. So,
it's also
that'd be a nod
optioned into a movie, and the scenes of them watching that movie while they're doing other stuff, it's brilliant.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it.
But say they'll. Well, I'm glad. Thank you.
It's fucking great. By the way, it's a full moon tonight.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
If it's not, tomorrow is.
Oh, well, that's close enough. But yeah, so there'll be other shit where it's it has nothing to do at all, and you wouldn't be able to tell it has anything to do with it at all, except for the characters in that book are also reading either 50 Shades of Dave or books by that same author or whatever.
All right, okay, I can dig that.
Kind of like how Kevin Smith, all the Jay and Silent Bob movies, they're all in the same universe, but a lot of them, the only thing that you can tell they have in common, or the only reason that they're in the same universe, is because either Jay and Silent Bob are there, or what's the restaurant? Movies?
Yeah, movies.
Yeah, so has nothing to do with Jay and Silent Bob, but the characters go to a movies when they're getting lunch or some shit. That's your nod of these are the same thing.
Yeah, there's something else too. I know there's Jay and Silent Bob. There's movies. There's probably a fucking hockey reference. I don't know.
Oh, they all smoke nail cigarettes.
Yes, nails.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Which there's another fucking interesting fucking little, not intentionally in the same universe, but I treat it like it's in the same universe. So there's a fictional brand of cigarettes called Morley's. And
yes,
there's a lot of things, a lot of movies, TV shows that have nothing to do with each other whatsoever, except for they all smoke this fictional brand of cigarettes. And it's all right, well, that brand doesn't exist. So if it happens in this show and that show, they both must take place in the universe that has Morley cigarettes. And since that's not a real thing, say Marlboro or Newport or whatever, Camel, right, they must all be there. the smoking man in X-Files smokes Marleys. William Shatner in the Twilight Zone movie smokes Marleys. Fucking Californication, Hank, whatever the fuck his name was, smoked Marleys. There's like 70 fucking movies and TV shows where they're smoking Marleys. So it's like, okay, all this shit happens in the same universe. And the other thing, I think Buffy the Vampire Slayer is in there too. And if you're going to tell me Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the X-Files take place in the same universe, like, I'm going to go, oh, yeah, no, big surprise there. But
with Californication, which is all about fucking and listening to Slayer, apparently.
Yeah. So, like, if you go Google the list of, media that has Marley cigarettes in it, but, this all lines up. Like, there isn't, like, anything that, like, contradicts each other. Like, there isn't something like, The Walking Dead happens, and I don't know when The Walking Dead started, 2006, just arbitrary fucking date. But then this other show, there was still society in 2015, so they couldn't be together. There's none of that. Like, it's all plausible that this all happened in the same universe. So, like, the Morley multiverse.
I gotta look that up. Like, that sounds pretty fucking cool, because I like, those weird things like that where it's just like, look, there's this connection, but there's really not, because it's probably just something where they just didn't want to pay rights to Marlboro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I understand that, but I love living in that little, like, fantasy land of, like, it's all fucking connected, but it's unknowingly it, so.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like the Terminator multiverse. Fucking, are you familiar with the theory that every Schwarzenegger movie takes place in the same universe?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm going to go into it because, we're on a thing. But for you at home, dear listeners, check this out. I want you to think of every Schwarzenegger movie ever made, right? Now, we're going to wrap this back to Predator originally. So there's a special forces team. They're out in the jungle. They come into contact with alien life that fucks up a fucking special forces team. Like, kills them all. Well, actually kills two whole teams of them. And like only one guy survives at the end. Yes. Now, fucking government hears about this when Dutch gets back, whatever his real name was. And they're like, okay, we need to find something that fights the aliens. And this guy killed one of these aliens. So we need to make a super machine that can kill these aliens. And then they make fucking Terminators, right? Like, not necessarily Skynet, the AI, but like the fucking actual Terminator part of, the Cyberdyne system, fucking like robots fucking kill them all.
So the cybernetic beings, exoskeleton with living tissue.
Yes, that. Now, fucking Skynet or the government or whoever fucking doesn't exactly, like, you can't just build a machine and make it act human. You gotta fucking program it to act human, or fucking train it to act human. The way it does that is that it runs these simulations inside the AI, which is where every other Schwarzenegger movie takes place. Now, I know you're thinking, that doesn't make any sense. No, it does make sense. Think about it. Schwarzenegger, in every fucking movie he's in, always kind of like, he doesn't talk right, kind of bumbles around, doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And even when he does know what the fuck he's doing, he's still kind of like a little off on it. And that's because that's Skynet's AI trying to learn how to act and be accepted as a human, so it becomes a better infiltration fucking soldier.
So, kindergarten cop, running man, Mr. Dad.
That's all that AI learning to be a human.
So the AI made up Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
That's fucking amazing.
Zach, put that in your conspiracy pipe and smoke it.
If I had a conspiracy pipe to smoke, like right now, my brain just kind of hurts from it. I'm just kind of like, holy fuck, that's awesome.
I'm just going to lie down.
I'm just going to think about kindergarten cop right now and who is your daddy and what does he do, and just fucking AI came up with that. God damn it. Tripp, you're tripping me out. I'm sure you've heard that one.
Oh, no, never. No one's ever said that.
Really? It's fucking natural. Losers, they missed out. But yeah. That's fucking wild. That's fucking awesome that you came up with like the entire story arc before you even started while you were on a meal, which actually is not surprising considering how much there is to do on a boat.
Yeah, no, it's and to be fair, I've been thinking about a story I'd want to write for years before that, and I just never sat down to write it until, I was on a ship deployment and gainfully unemployed. And that's the other thing. I think a lot of people, people that don't write or whatever, but like actually, I'm gonna throw this in the fucking pretty much everyone's got a story. The difference between a writer and someone who's not a writer, the only difference is the writer actually puts his ass in a chair and types it.
I think that can be said about 90% of things, though. And I say 90% because, a lot of paraplegics can't lift weights.
Yeah, but I also have no aspirations to, like, I don't know, be a neurosurgeon. And
that's the same here.
Yeah.
Or a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we have the capacity to do all of those basic things. So, like, writer, I don't know what if anyone wants to do with physical fitness. Like, I personally enjoy lifting weights, but I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah, and like all of those like weird little basics things, learning how to cook, cooking well, like making a fucking bomb ass steak.
Yeah, that's the one that like that's the one though. Cooking, that's the one that like gets me. When people don't know how to cook, it's like, okay, so do you not like food? I mean, do you not like eating good food? Like, yeah, I get it. McDonald's is cool, but like, let's be honest. Like, I mean, fucking, I like to hide my beer guts in the fucking camera, but it's there. I would be embarrassed as fuck to be as fat as I am if I didn't know how to cook. What's your fucking excuse, dude? You know?
Fuck, I have no idea what people's excuses are. Like, I don't know, young age, I was just kind of like, there's food, there's a stove, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Now there's the internet. It's just like we said, YouTube, everything's on there.
Yeah, dude, no, and like fucking, there's two sides to that, right? Like, one, even if YouTube isn't there, you can be creative, you can experiment. Like fucking, I've made a few dishes, that I would consider my signature dishes that like aren't that good, but like it turns out that they were real things later, and by that I mean like I'm gonna crack eggs in the fucking ramen and strain it, pour cheese in it, like that's something. But then like all the fucking delicious fucking like awesome like God came in your mouth fucking food, there's a 5-minute fucking tutorial on YouTube on how to fucking make that shit. Almost all of it. Like, granted, there's some like weird stuff where you have to like simmer like fucking I don't know, like a buttered egg yolk for like an hour and a half and like wisp it the entire fucking time, and you gotta speak softly to it so that the flavor comes out right, and only add 1 grain of salt a minute the entire time it's there. There's like 5 things like that. Besides that, no, fucking like 5 minutes of fucking reading or fucking YouTube videos. Boom, figured it out. There's this chick, I think her name's like Nina's Thai Kitchen or some shit, and she teaches you how to make fucking kick-ass Thai food, and none of her videos are more than like 5 minutes long.
Oh yeah, there's another
simple
guy, the Savage Kitchen. He does fucking amazing things. Like, he's just doing stuff like breading chicken and making bomb ass sandwiches, doing other things like making wings and stuff, and it's just like, fuck yeah. But he's like weird little twists on them, so they're a little more fun, like blueberry sauce on a chicken sandwich. Speaking of fried chicken, you ever made Captain Crunch chicken?
I have never even heard of that. Please enlighten me, because now I'm kind of fucking interested.
Oh, this is an amazing thing. So I'm sure you know how to like bread chicken to fry it.
Yeah.
Okay, so flour, egg wash, instead of putting like breadcrumbs or something weird on there, 50-50 mixture of Captain Crunch and corn flakes. So you like run it through a blender, so like get it like real fine like breadcrumbs, and then that's what you put on after the egg wash. And then batter that all up, fry them bitches. You're welcome. You will fucking love it. Do it as nuggets or do it as tenders. And then just like dip away into whatever choice sauce you like, and just fuck yeah. And you'll be like, this is amazing.
Yeah, that sounds like it's going on the to-do list.
Yeah, there's an old recipe. Like I was introduced to this back in the days of E-Bombs World is where I learned this recipe.
Back before YouTube.
We all went to E-Bombs World in College Humor.
Dude, I remember fucking the first YouTube link I sent to somebody just because I sent it to this chick. She's like, "What? I have to sign in to use this," and I was like, "Okay, then don't." And that memory probably would have fucking faded into nothing if YouTube didn't blow up. But yeah, no, there was an internet before YouTube.
There was a lot of things before YouTube.
Yeah.
No, I've tried. I made a joke the other day about grandpa's signing into AOL Instant Messenger to hit on ladies. Nobody got it. I'm like, God, you all suck.
There's a Facebook page. I think they got Instagram too, and all it's like the things called fucking goddamn what is um Internet Explorer. It's called Internet Explorer, and all it does is share news or like big pop culture things or like controversies from like 5 years ago.
Oh God, low hanging fruit, but sometimes it's the good fruit.
Yeah, hey, listen, if it works, it works.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's the old saying from the Marine Corps: if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid.
yeah, no, and that's the exact opposite of like, hey, this makes sense. Do we keep doing this, or do we wait till someone shows up and fucking screams at us, or are we getting NJP'd for doing this because it makes a lot of sense?
Let's go with the NJP and just fucking full send.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that where we are then?
What's that?
So is that where we are then?
I do believe that that is where we are, and
That,
I don't know. Kind of feels like a logical stopping point for now.
yeah, I mean we are at an hour and a half. That's a good runtime. I don't know how long you normally do these for.
So I had one that was about an hour and 15 minutes, and I've had another one that was 3.5 hours, but that was a guy that I work with, and he is a very good at conversation.
Ah, okay. Right.
He was also formerly a recruiter in Jacksonville, Florida, and he had some interesting stories.
I would imagine. So, fun fact: do you know why the Florida man is the Florida man?
No, I do not.
Okay, so Florida's not actually any crazier than anywhere else.
I don't think so,
But
no.
no, but Florida does have this thing where I forget what law it is, but they've got an extremely transparent state local government system, all that kind of shit. So if you go into a government building and ask for any type of fucking paperwork, they have to give it to you. So if you have a slow news day, you know what you do? You go to the fucking police department and say, I need the police report from yesterday. And they have to give it to you.
Okay.
So it's not so much that there aren't fucking crazed meth heads in fucking Montana that are eating homeless people's faces. But in Montana, they don't actually have to tell you that's happening. In Florida, they do.
Wow, okay. That makes sense because you've heard of the OTF triangle, Ohio, Texas, and Florida. That's where all the fun news comes out of.
Yeah.
Like I know it's like a game show for like some morning shows up by me where it's just like, here's a news story. Tell us which state it's from, Ohio, Texas, or Florida.
Yeah, and I don't know about Texas or Ohio, but I would imagine it's probably something.
Some amazingly dumb stuff comes out of both of them, those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Ohio.
Yeah. No, I'm originally from Florida, and then I lived in Ohio for a bit.
I'm so sorry. What part?
Oh God, Jacksonville, Florida, actually, and then the Akron-Canton area.
Yeah, I don't know much about Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I've only been there once for a week, but Akron-Canton area that's hard.
Yeah, no, and then it's funny because I talk a lot of shit, on the internet about Ohio, and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm tired of this joke. Ohio's not like this. I'm like, bitch, I lived there for 6 years. I'm not lying about it. There's a part in my second book. I don't know what the direct quote is, but one of the, they're fighting in World War III at that point, and one of the characters talking about the dude. I just want to get away from this war and go back home. Where are you from? Ohio. And then one of the characters like, I would rather sell myself into fucking slavery than ever go to Ohio.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, fuck that.
And that's why I go to Pittsburgh for concerts instead of Cleveland, even though it's closer.
Yeah. No, Pittsburgh's not bad.
No, it's not. Pittsburgh's cleaned up a lot.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, I was never around for it being like dirty, I never had any problems with Pittsburgh, except for the traffic. The traffic's a fucking bitch because whoever built the roads were fucking retarded. But, besides that, as long as Pittsburgh's okay once you park the car. How about that?
Yeah, I could definitely agree to that. Yeah, my grandma said that Erie, where she was from, Pennsylvania, was built on a grid, and Pittsburgh, they just kind of threw spaghetti at the map and said, "There's your city."
Yeah. One of the other things, though, Pittsburgh's fucking got a lot of good shit going for it, even after all the fucking steel mills left. And I know that's not at all a good fucking segue into what I'm going to fucking say. But one of the things I appreciate about Pittsburgh is that all their sports teams like wear the same colors.
That is actually pretty cool. They all got like that steel-based thing.
Yeah, especially because like I'm not too big into sports, and it's like go to a fucking bar, I'm at somebody's house, and I turn it on. Am I rooting for? Oh, okay, colors, those colors, got it.
Yeah, you got black and yellow, or black and yellow down there.
Yeah.
Do they have a basketball team? No, they don't. No, they're just baseball, football.
And it's just the Penguins, Steelers, and Pirates, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I had to think for a minute. I know about the hockey team. Damn near raised on that shit.
Yeah.
But not a fan of the Steelers. Go Bills all the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, fucking, I don't know. Like, I don't care about sports unless I'm in a sports bar and I'm drinking and I need something to yell at. In which case, that becomes a thing. Because, like, let's be honest about this. Fucking watching a sports game isn't about fucking the game. It's about getting drunk and yelling at shit. That's the real activity.
No, the reason I'm a Bills fan is, so you remember in the 90s when they went to 4 Super Bowls in a row and lost?
Yeah, that's some German level shit. Like, hey, we're gonna start this. Like, we're gonna go to war against the entire world and lose twice. Like, hey, dumbass, you didn't fucking learn your lesson the first time. The fuck.
I mean, there's weird, different socioeconomic things for the Germany thing, but back to the Bills. So when they were doing that, they had training camp was in my hometown. So their summer training camp was in my town, and like it was at the college in my town, SUNY Fredonia. Not a huge school. SUNY stands for State University of New York. It's an entire system. It's why we don't have like a big school like Florida, like or Ohio, just taking up the entire fucking state. It's just spread out everywhere.
Yeah.
And so that's the one in my town, which is in between Buffalo and Erie. And during the summer, like the summer soccer program would be in like one part of this field, and then there'd be some snow fence, and then that's where the Bills had practice. So I'd literally stop playing soccer in the middle of the day or whatever it ended, and I'd just walk 50 feet to where the Bills practiced, and I'd watch them do their summer training camp or whatever, and I'd go home after drinking all my juice boxes or whatever, and I'd tell my dad all about my day, and then he'd go to the bars at night and drink with Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and all those motherfuckers. I'm just like...
Nice.
I was like, that's pretty awesome. Like, oh, it's just a fun little thing. And then even more fun. So I would have been super young or maybe not even born when this happened. But I guess O.J. Simpson was in my town because back when he played for the Bills, he did training camp there in Fredonia. And I'm just like, that's cool. O.J.'s been here. I wonder if he drove a Bronco.
So speaking of O.J. Simpson, and going back to social media, are you on Twitter at all?
No, but I'm probably gonna get on there soon, one of these days, just to start promoting this podcast better.
Okay, O.J. Simpson has one of the best fucking Twitters. I'm sorry, he does.
Oh, I'm following that now. I got to get on there.
Yeah, no, because like a lot of it's just bullshit. Like, hey, I'm going golf today. This, that, and whatever. But like, you remember Tiger King, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he had a thing on Tiger King where he's like, hey, listen, Carol Baskin, she killed her husband. I know these kind of things. And it's like, what the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does that mean, OJ? OJ, what does that
mean? Oh, fuck. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking great.
Well, listen, I'm not an expert on a lot of it.
I'm not an expert on things.
I'm the kind of guy that likes to listen to experts. Now, if O.J. Simpson wants to talk about how he's pretty sure someone killed their spouse, I'm going to trust him that he knows that.
I definitely believe that one. Oh, Christ. Yeah. Sorry, I'm still laughing at you yelling, what the fuck does that mean? It was so perfect.
It's all delivery.
Fuck me. The energy and the emotion in your voice is what got me on that. I was like, it was unexpected and beautiful. And
well, I mean, fucking the Jameson starts to kick in. So.
Also, we should probably fucking mention you're not really audiobooking, but like doing chapters of your of Smoke Pit Parrot Tales and putting it up on YouTube, right?
Yeah. So people keep asking for the audiobook because a lot of my I'm gonna call them the fan base are veterans, and not to besmirch anybody, but apparently they don't know how to fucking read. They keep asking for an audiobook, so I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do a goddamn audiobook. But there's a lot of work that goes into that, and I'm not going to be able to sit down and do fucking 500 hours worth of fucking work for, nothing and just like push it all out at once. So the way I decided to combat that is do it chapter by chapter, and then put each chapter on YouTube. And then once it's done, make, just release the whole thing, or the audio for all that on the audiobook, but then like on the, fucking damn on the YouTube videos, it's not just like blank background or whatever. Like I go in and like try to make the images in it kind of play out, like what's going on in the fucking story. So I mean, it's more than just me reading the book. At least on YouTube anyway, you got fucking videos going along with it, and then I've been getting voice actors to come in on it. So I'm trying to turn it into more of like an audio drama.
Yeah, I did see you requesting voice actors. I forgot how long ago it was on the Instagram.
Yeah, like, but I got that. Yeah, well, I got that going on, and then started getting like sound effects and soundtrack in there and all that. So trying to make them more like a cinematic experience that you could also just not watch and listen.
That's pretty awesome. I might have to listen to those. I mean, I'm already well past the one that you just put out, which I believe was chapter 6.
Yeah, the second half of chapter 6 came out today.
Yeah.
And some of them are broken up into 2 chapters. Some of them aren't. Like the next one's coming out, chapter 7. That's all in one video, but that's also only 20 minutes long. As to where the full thing for chapter 6, that was almost fucking 50 minutes. So it was like I'm not gonna pump out or I'm not gonna drop an hour long fucking YouTube video when it's my fucking 8th or 10th fucking video up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's really fucking awesome. Everything you're doing, dude. Like, I don't know how you find time for all of it.
I don't have a job.
That's a good way. I'm sure it doesn't make things like, easy for the rest of life, but
Yeah. Fucking. Actually, I guess something I should be certain. I think we'll see how that fucking goes. So, not to get too in details about it, but it's slow paced fucking thing. But I don't know. There's other words in here somewhere that I am completely fucking failing to pull together, which I would not imagine inspires fucking confidence in reading my books. Though I guess for that, like the book's already written. You don't have to sit there and wait for me to fucking do this shit. Because like when you're writing, it's like, and I quote, so like goddamn fucking they Bill pulled out a cigarette and then like fucking shit goddamn Tyler was like, hey man, can I have a smoke? And then you edit it and it's like Bill pulled out a cigarette. Tyler asked him if he could have one. So, by the time we get into the books, I cut it out all the fucking fucking goddamn shit, fucking
yeah, you can also just shorten all those goddamns to, hey motherfucker, give me a cigarette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the beauty of editing.
Yes, it is. But also, I've never written a book.
That's because you haven't sat down and done it.
I also don't know what I would have to say. I'm not sure anyone wants to hear about the days of the Osprey not deploying at New River, North Carolina.
Well, the thing about that that I will say is in the realm of not necessarily just creativity, but I think it does start there, is there are people out there that have a lot less talent than you in whatever it is that you do. And they're a lot more successful than you are only because they chose to believe in themselves.
Are you talking about 6-inch alien pizza boy?
That's not me. That's a guy named Connor Curl. That's not me.
But he's much more successful than me right now.
Yeah, that's a space alien. I'm sorry, he's not a space alien. He's from Texas. He wrote that. That's not me. Not me.
I'm just saying, like, I haven't done anything but 6-inch alien pizza boy. That's a story that's been written, and it's far more successful than any story that I've written because my stories are zero. So I mean, we're making your point, but with 6-inch alien pizza boy.
Yeah, there's a 6-inch alien pizza boy who does deliver pizzas, and this chick didn't have any money, so she ate him with her vagina. It's not me. It's not me. It's not me. I didn't write that. I was just highlighting that it exists. All right.
Are you saying you're not casting judgment? You're just informing the populace that it's out there?
Yes, that's it. I'm not bemoaning, besmirching, or praising. I'm just saying it exists and it's there. It's on Kindle Vella. Like you can read it for free. It's like you don't have to log in or anything. Like you just pull it up on your fucking browser. It's there. But I didn't write it, so if you don't go read it.
So read Smoke Pit Fairy Tales first.
Yes.
Ah, Christ. Oh yeah, that's pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah. God. There's this part where they're like banging, but he's like 6 inches tall, so he, is having to use his whole body, but he gets trapped inside of her vagina, and then she's like trying to pull him out, but he starts freaking out because oxygen is kind of important, so he's trying to like punch his way out, but he's like punching her G-spot, and she can't do anything besides like rise in orgasm, and he's like, oh god, I don't have any oxygen. Yeah. Whoever wrote that's fucking genius. Not me.
Oh, fucking Christ.
I I don't know. Maybe I'll reach out to that guy and contact him and see if I can become his official spokesperson. That'd probably be
I think you already are at this point. I think you got the job whether either of you like it or not.
Yeah.
Dear Penthouse, I'm a 6-inch alien pizza boy. Let me tell you my story.
Does Penthouse still do the fucking Penthouse letter?
I don't know if Penthouse is still a thing even.
I don't. I have some Penthouses, but they're from like the 70s and 80s because like you go to an antique store and it's like $2 for a Penthouse. It's like I'll spend $2 on that. Fuck it, why not? But
I gotta go to more antique stores now.
yeah, that's the thing. Penthouses are in fucking antique stores. I'm sure Penthouses are still around. There's no way they're not.
Do you know how long it's been since I've been to like a porn store? Like that used to sell them?
I'm gonna assume that it was shortly after high-speed internet.
Yeah, I want to say like they went the way of things going away with high-speed internet. They got Amazoned and Walmarted.
No, but I was gonna say like, why would you go buy a Penthouse or a Hustler when I could just like go to Google?
Yeah, pretty much.
So that being said, though,
I got an interesting point first. Hold on. Who do you think made more money, Hugh Hefner or Larry Flint?
I'm gonna go with Hugh Hefner just because of merchandising. I don't know what else Larry Flint had going for him besides that magazine, but Playboy was like a socially acceptable brand. Like it wasn't just that magazine.
So Playboy was about 200 million, Hugh Hefner's net worth. Larry Flint's with Hustler Clubs, Hustler Video was 1.4 billion.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, I was very surprised when I read that too. I'm like, no way, I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, no, that's not at all what I would have.
Goes to show, penetration pays.
Mm-hmm. No, I will say though, like that old joke about Playboys. Oh, I'm just reading it from the articles.
Yep.
I can't speak for newer shit, but like I got like a magazine collection and like old magazines. Like yeah, there's a good amount of fucking skin shit in there, but like there's also a lot of guitar magazines, car magazines, fucking anime and shit in there too. But Playboy in the 70s and 80s that I can vouch for did have really good fucking articles in there. Like I got one and it's got this like 10-page fucking article on fucking combat correspondence in the fucking Pacific theater of World War II. And it's like, all right, so like boobs, 10 pages of like some dude with a fucking camera hopping around fucking Guadalcanal and fucking Peleliu. Boobs. It's like, oh, hold on. What's this fucking Peleliu shit doing in here?
That's actually
kind of catch you off guard about shit. No, yeah, no, I don't know that that's not in Penthouse or Hustler.
I just said that it is in a Hustler that had like a 4 or 5 page article synopsis on a book called The Confessions of an Economic Hitman, where he basically talked about like what we discussed earlier of like economically like fucking crippling other countries for the sake of America.
Yeah.
And that's where I was first exposed to that. I'm like, well, I got to read this book now after like that interview with him where he talked about his book and like doing that. I'm like, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah. And then like one of the other things about Playboy at least was, it wouldn't always, be some like crazy shit like, island hopping in World War II or whatever. Like they'd have like good shit on like men's fashion and stuff in there. And they'd have like a fucking 3-page article on like fucking like a set of boots that was like both fashionable and like were still good boots. So like they were meant to be worn with like a suit or like with your khakis or whatever. But if you needed to, you could go like you can go hiking with them. And it was like, oh man, that's really cool. Fucking they stopped making these fucking boots in like 1993. Okay, all right, well,
That sucks. planned
Yeah.
obsolescence. I can't even get fucking boots that do one or the other.
Yeah.
That's not true. I got some pretty decent work boots. Danner makes great shit.
Danner does make great shit, man. Dude, I got a
Fuck yeah.
pair of Danners that I got after my first deployment. I've had them resold,
Nice.
but they're still good boots. Like I low estimate have put fucking 2,000 miles on those things.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's solid.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
and like I
they're
still wear them. Like they fucking rock.
yeah, the rat boots that I have, like I should probably get those resold, but they're still pretty fucking solid and like they're the most comfortable inside. And then like I use Danner for my
Oh
work boots too. And uh I've demolished one pair and I work outdoors doing environmental construction. Uh those ones took me about 3 years to break of everyday wear. And I got my second pair. I got another pair and they're holding up well at a year and a half.
yeah, no, and like you fucking can't get um you can't get a good set of fucking boots for less than fucking $400. But once you
Those
get past
those are
that fucking
about
threshold, it's
250.
like
Danner work
are
boots
they
are
like
about
50?
250. Yeah, I fucking buy
That's
them,
not
man.
bad.
Yeah.
Oh no. So like the only pair I got are like the ones I got from the fucking TX, you know. Um, but yeah, no, like once you pass that like fucking threshold into like quote unquote expensive boots, like yeah, they're expensive, but you only have to buy one of them or like one pair of them ever.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and if they're quality enough, like you can send them back to the company and for like a quarter of the price of the boot, they'll completely re not yeah,
Like
pretty much refurbish it.
yeah, put new soles on it, fucking fix it the guts, make sure all the stitching is right.
Make sure the stitching is right. If like any of the I don't know what the stuff they use to like keep the back of the heel like stiff, like a cardboard or plastic piece that's like bent or broken or whatever, like they'll replace that in there too. If like the liners ripped, they'll redo all that. Like, yeah, like no, Danner will do that with your boots if they're the right ones that can be. Like they'll even say like when you're purchasing them off their website, it's like these can be recrafted or whatever the fuck word they use, but or they can't be recrafted.
Yeah. No, I would say that I'm never gonna buy another pair of boots that aren't Danners, but I mean I got a pair of Danners. I'm never buying boots again unless I lose them in a fucking house fire or some shit, you know?
Yep. But I will say, if you ever find your way into like a construction field and they're not composite toe, let's say, because steel toe sucks in the fucking winter. I'd say
Yeah.
go with Danner composite toes because those are massively better and your toes won't freeze just because they're next to steel.
Yeah, that's something you would not want to happen.
Yeah, yeah. At about hour 5 of a 12-hour day, you're going, God, my fucking feet are hurting. This sucks. Which is
Now I
why I
worked at a sawmill
switched.
for a while and like yeah, no fucking like I do love my Danners, but um I had a thick pair of socks on under those.
That's the way to go.
Yeah. Dude, that's the other thing is like people fucking like complain about like wool being itchy for some reason, but
I don't.
it keeps you warm in the winter. Fucking, it's porous. Like it's cooler than polyester. Fucking even a lot of cotton blends now. Um, but you know, wool is also a little more expensive. But like
And it
good
wicks the
garments,
moisture away really
yeah,
well.
good garments fucking made out of wool.
You know what I have? I have my grandpa's wool blanket from World War II.
Like that green monster fucker.
Except it's a navy one, so it's tan.
I don't know. I didn't
Yeah.
know they did tan back then. I didn't know the Navy did tan back
Yeah. I mean, you got to think their uniforms were tan, so why wouldn't they?
then. Yeah, no, I guess. I just kind of figured, you know, the ships that like gray color
Yeah.
or like blue, but you know,
Yeah, I
yeah, I didn't know
have
that.
that. And that thing is mild to moderately itchy. So it's probably where it came from is like older days when I guess fabric manufacturing wouldn't have been as tight
Yeah,
or however you want to call it, the weave, whatever they do with the stuff.
right. Where it's got all the little fucking ends poking out.
Yeah, pretty much. So it kind of like has like that look of not the hook part of Velcro, but like the loop part of Velcro. So it like has that look to it,
Yeah,
but not as loose. Like it's a lot tighter than that, but like you can still see where it's like, I guess I could see that. But yeah, after like using that thing a few times, I'm like, I understand where wool gets its bad rap from.
yeah. But fucking, it's not the 40s anymore. Like I think we figured out how to make it a. Actually, you know what? Fucking, I I read a lot about like World War I, and they had wool uniforms back then, and they don't. I haven't fucking, at least that I remember. Um, I don't remember anybody in any of those books complaining that the uniforms were itchy. So maybe it was shit. I don't even know what that would have been. Maybe that was just like, hey, listen, we need blankets, we need them fast. We don't really care. It keeps you warm. You get a sheet.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
The only thing I really know about uniforms is that's the reason that Columbus, Ohio's hockey team is called the Blue Jackets. And that's because that's where they made the blue coats that the Union Army made war in World War Civil War, the Civil fucking War.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Huh. It's an interesting fun fact.
Yep, that's the fun fact about the Civil War that I know.
Yeah. Hmm.
That, and if there was another one, I'm pretty sure the North would lose because all the gun manufacturers moved down south.
Well, the thing with that though, we had a very unique Civil War because most of the time throughout history, when you have a Civil War, it's either just complete anarchy and warlords fucking go warlording, or the rich people who aren't in charge try to be in charge, and they fund the whole thing. As to where in our Civil War, um, one of the outcomes of the American Civil War was that we federalized. So like we stopped being X amount of smaller, effectively smaller countries, and we became one big country. So each state had its own standing army. So it was less of a civil war and more of fucking, I don't know, like if the European Union decided to fucking like all fight each other, it was more akin to that than what it traditionally.
Wasn't that World War II and won?
No, because there wasn't a European Union yet.
That's a good point. Speaking of that, what's your
so like
feelings on Finland and Sweden joining NATO?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought they already were there, so I had the same thought as like when you hear that a celebrity died that you thought they died in the fucking 80s, and you're like, oh shit, they were still alive, huh?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not much up on my NATO history, but since this whole Ukraine thing popped off, like I've just learned more by hearing more, and I'm just like, wait, so at the end of the Cold War, we weren't supposed to go past East Germany with NATO. Interesting.
Yeah.
We've just been creeping that way and pissing off the Russians ever since.
Yeah, and the thing about that is like fucking. So like Russia invading Ukraine, like yeah, I think that's wrong, but and I'm against it, but I also acknowledge that I mean it's not unprovoked.
Oh, definitely not.
So yeah, though that and fucking it is kind of bullshit though that the Russians were using one of their fucking citations for doing it because they didn't want Ukraine to join NATO and therefore have a NATO country on their borders, considering what like Latvia and Estonia and Lithuania, the Baltic states, are all in NATO, have a border with Russia. So it's like,
and Poland.
so why didn't you invade? Yeah, yeah. So why didn't you invade them when they did it?
So
You know what I mean?
back to what we talked about earlier, the Peter Zeihan guy, the global strategist and whatever. Uh,
Yeah,
so part of Russian strategy is to kind of like do the 300 at Thermopylae thing and block the choke points that are access
yeah. But
points.
those choke points are like they need to be like all the way out in fucking almost Central Europe for that to be fucking
Ukraine
like a
is one
viable
of
fucking
them.
thing.
Ukraine has one of
Yeah,
those points. And so that's
yeah.
why they're starting
So
there.
yeah, which which if that's their thing, that means they're afraid of people pushing in from the fucking west, which means that they probably also have like a legitimate concern about people pushing in from the west. And it's like, okay, so what's going on that we don't know about? You know?
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah.
That's stone can worms.
I think the problem is that we don't know shit, and we probably never will until about 50 years after shit happens.
I mean, that depends though, man. I mean, because like we knew about Tonkin Golf, like I don't know, 10 years after it happened, but like I'm still waiting to hear about like what's going on with JFK. You know what I mean? So I mean,
Oh, definitely.
actually, fucking there's a really easy answer to JFK though. There was this guy in the fucking 80s. I don't know what his fucking name was. Um, but he was in the KGB, and he pretty much pulled an Edward Snowden and like moved to fucking England, right? And this is before the collapse of the Soviet Union. And he brought with him like all these fucking fucking like, hey, you guys let me fucking like hang out in England, and I'll tell you all the shit I know. And when JFK got assassinated, he was a young guy in the KGB at the time, and fucking the KGB recognized that with all the like weird shit that was going around, fucking the JFK assassination with like hey, he got shot, and then like Lee Harvey Oswald, the guy that shot him, got killed by some dude that died in prison like 3 days or like shortly after he killed the fucking guy or whatever. The
Right.
KGB was like, this is an amazing opportunity to subvert the fucking American government. So they start spreading out all these fucking rumors about like how Lee Harvey Oswald didn't act alone, like there's another guy on the grassy knoll and all this shit. So there is a conspiracy around the JFK assassination. However, the conspiracy itself is the conspiracy.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's Russian disinformation, according to a Russian.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah. No, it worked too, because we're still arguing. Like, well, you can't make that shot. Yeah, you can. Well, but I mean, what about like his head, fucking exploding that way instead of that way, and then like all this other stuff that like doesn't quite line up. Like, why would some dude that has mafia ties go kill the guy that like was the patsy for killing JFK, and then like that dude had terminal cancer and died like a couple months later in prison? Like that doesn't just add up. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean it does and it doesn't. It's kind of murky, but then you throw the fucking wrench in the gears about like the why question to it, and it's like, yeah, but who threw that wrench in the first place? The KGB. Why does the KGB care about this? Are they trying to fucking cover up that they killed JFK, or hear me out on this? Was the KGB just looking for a way to make Americans not trust the government and destabilize the country? Which one of those makes more sense?
Number two.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a conspiracy, but the conspiracy is the conspiracy.
Well, in the same vein, because Russia has basically the same gross domestic product output as Italy, their military is the bumbling clusterfuck that we've seen in Ukraine. Uh,
Yeah,
Most of their money goes to cyber warfare and disinformation, and
yeah,
they've
no, and
invested heavily in it, which is why we hear so
that
much
makes
about
sense
troll
because
farms.
yeah, no, and that makes sense because that's something they can do. Like Russia doesn't have the power to just like goose step over fucking Europe or Asia or whatever, but they
Mhm.
can fucking make everyone else around them weaker through fucking a fucking vapid disinformation campaign.
Yeah,
Like um fucking it's not always the most obvious fucking thing that is the thing with whatever we're talking to or talking about, but like once you figure out, or pull out the unobvious stuff and like look at it a little bit, like it makes the most sense. And the thing that makes the most sense is more often than not the thing that's fucking happening. Like going all the way back to the beginning of the conversation about fucking Budweiser and having that fucking trans dude, trans chick, that fucking trans person, the LGBTQ person on their fucking new fucking can. Are they about fucking trans rights or are they trying to make money? Which one makes more sense?
I think they're about monetary rights and their right to have more of your money.
Exactly. They're a business. They want money. They don't give a fuck about anybody's rights. They give a fuck about your dollar bill.
Yeah.
Same way with like what would it make sense for say going back to fucking Russia where it's like, all right, hey, we need to not have fucking whatever's going on in Ukraine to be going on in Ukraine. Do we do the misinformation thing? We do that until it doesn't work, and then once it doesn't work, then we have to fucking step in. And then they shot themselves in the foot with their dick, or in the actually no, they shot themselves in the dick with their foot. Like
That's
Russia's fucking
impressive.
up Ukraine bad. Yeah, no, and it is impressive, like how fucking monumental this fucking clusterfuck is. It's like, bro, uh, goddamn, dude, I saw this fucking hilarious fucking thing, and it was a what it was like a fucking like year long time lapse map of the Nazis going into Russia and how far they went into Russia, and then it was a year long fucking time lapse map of Russia going into Ukraine, and it's like kind of showing them side by side, and it's like, what Russia did you not learn fucking anything? Like what the fuck?
Oh,
Though to be absolutely fair, historically Russia is absolutely fucking terrible at war, and the only reason they did as good in World War II as they did was because of the Lend-Lease program. Because we were building their guns and tanks and fucking aircraft and paying all the bills.
so it had nothing to do with their just insane number of human waves that they would send at things.
I would argue no, because to do that human wave, you have to get people in the place to do the human wave in the first place, which requires uh, uniforms to put them in, gasoline or some type of or gasoline or coal or some other type of fuel to get them from point A to point B, a gun to put in every third person's fucking hand. What was it like? Infantry wins battles, fucking money wins wars.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they couldn't move their dudes fucking 5 feet with their own fucking wallet. Like, we paid for the fucking Russians part of fucking World War II.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Then again, I could also see it because we were highly motivated to win.
Oh yeah, no, like we became the fucking world's great empire because of that war.
That's the
And
other country I want to go to and see their World War II like museum and stuff because same thing with Vietnam. Like they view it as they won the war. Like they paid the human capital and they like did all that stuff and defeated the Germans.
so I dated a Russian chick for a while, and
Lay it
we
on me.
actually talked about that. They didn't know Americans were even in Europe in World War II.
What?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah. As far as
god.
they're concerned, as far as they're concerned, they defeated the Nazis by themselves, like completely by themselves. Like fucking D-Day, fucking fucking Sicily. That shit didn't happen. They defeated the Nazis by themselves. And then on the other end of it, fucking America was having trouble with the Japanese out in those Pacific Islands, and the Japanese only surrendered because the Soviet Union was going to invade Japan. That's their point of view on that.
That is fucking wild. So, like, no mention of the atomic bomb at all, even?
Okay, so the atomic bomb did happen, but that was like a last-ditch effort.
But still, it was just like, they got this atomic bomb, but Russia's going to invade.
Yeah.
That is a wild spin on history.
Yeah.
From their point of view, I'm sure they think ours is wild.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm sure there is, except for the difference between the two is, I mean, if you ask the French or, the Germans or the fucking Italians what happened, they'll say, oh, yeah, no, fucking America showed up.
Yeah. That is a crazy mind trip. I didn't know that part where they're just like, oh, yeah, America just wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Though, because she wasn't very well versed in, I guess, American shit, I did have a experience with her that I don't think a lot of people ever get to fucking have, and that was, I made her watch Star Wars, right?
Okay.
And she thought it was the dumbest fucking movie ever made, and I was like, okay, well, we just have to watch the second one, and I won't make you watch anything else. All right, fine. So I make her watch the second one. She's like, stupid. What the fuck? Blah blah blah. Whatever. And then at the end, she's like, wait, hold on, wait. That's his dad. That's his dad. What the fuck? And I was like, oh, dude, I got to experience. I get to experience someone finding out that Vader was Luke's father, and not some fake YouTube. Yes.
Yes. That's awesome.
And I don't know anyone else that has that experience. So it's like, I'll keep that postcard.
Yeah, I don't know anyone. Like, my girlfriend doesn't want to watch Star Wars. She's like, those look stupid, but she even knows that Luke's his Vader's son.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking... Oh, dude, that's so...
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. That's, like, fucking awesome.
Yeah. I mean, because, like, who gets to do that?
No one?
I guess.
Dude,
so when you're typing up, so when you're typing up, I got a unicorn story here in a minute. But
no, that is the unicorn story.
Oh, I got another one. So yeah, when you're typing up the description of this, don't mention that I was a Marine or I write sci-fi novels or I'm an artist or anything. Just say that I introduced Russia to Star Wars.
I will seriously do that.
But other unicorn story, right? So it's like 2013-ish, around there. Might be 14, might be 12. But I'm in Quantico, right? And I'm walking out of the PX, and there's a Corvette for sale, and it says, fucking for sale, this phone number, ask for Phil. So I call the number and ask for Phil, and I'm talking about the car for a little bit. Like, I'll meet you there at fucking 1700. All right, cool. I'll meet you there at 1700. And it's after 16:30, so I put on jeans and a t-shirt, and Phil shows up in his uniform, and he's a Chief Warrant Officer 5.
Nice.
Right. So I'm like, hey, sir, he's like, you don't work for me. Fucking, you're trying to buy my car. I'm Phil. I'm like, okay, Phil. So we get in the car, we drive around for a bit, and I'm driving up and down 95 in the Corvette, fucking the CO5. I'm like, hey, I think I want to buy this. And he's like, yeah, all right, cool. I still the reason I'm selling it's because I want to buy a new one and you don't pay it anymore, and I still owe fucking Navy Fed whatever, so we'll just transfer the loan to you. And all right, cool. So we go to Navy Fed. The Navy Fed on base, by the way. That's important. Um, and we're sitting there and we're talking to the fucking like bank lady, who I'm not going to describe her right now, but sitting there, we're talking to the bank lady, and we get the fucking paperwork, whatever. Bank lady walks off with it, and this Chief Warrant Officer 5 leans over and says, "That's one fine looking negress." And I'm like, dude, you cannot be calling black chicks that. It's 2013. He's like, why not? She's hot and she's black. I'm like, dude, just say she was pretty, man. Like,
Holy fuck.
yeah. Like, dude, I'm in public. Like, I know I'm just a sergeant, but like, come on, man. Like, don't put me on the spot like that. But also, she was like really hot. So I mean, that's the end game of that.
So I think I've had one CWO5, but I have another amazing officer person that I was put around. So this was the maintenance officer at my last unit, which was the training unit when we were switching 46s over to 22s. So we got a new maintenance officer who was a lieutenant colonel, which is unheard of because lieutenant colonels are normally unit commanders. Like, they run an entire squadron, not just the maintenance department. Yeah. So this guy, Lieutenant Colonel Gold, was a fucking badass. He was drafted into Vietnam.
Okay.
Half his face was a green phosphorus burn.
Good.
He made it to staff sergeant, so he re-enlisted, then went air wing, was a door gunner on Huey's. Made it to staff sergeant, went warrant officer. I forget how long he was in there for, and then he commissioned. So he was in for like 50 fucking years and still outrunning everyone.
Nice.
Like, the dude was a fucking unit in every sense of the word. Like, the day he walked in, like, to the maintenance meeting, because I was running my night crew shop at the end, and I was just like, holy fuck, who's this guy? And like, my staff sergeant just like elbows me. He's like, shut the fuck up, because everyone's in trouble today. And like, he just starts laying into everyone, and I'm just like, oh, and I'm like taking notes, and my staff starts, close the book, like one of those things. It's just like, this is amazing, because I had a small shop, and I was just like, we weren't in trouble, but everyone else was, and I'm just like, this guy's a fucking badass.
Like, hey, don't make eye contact, and he's not here. If he addresses you, go to parade rest, address him as sir. Fucking hope he doesn't bite your head off. And I don't mean that fucking figuratively.
Do you know the feeling of like watching someone else getting chewed out, but that person has more rank than you that's getting chewed out, and you're just like, oh, and you're just like, get me some popcorn, and you have like the big children's eyes.
Oh yeah.
It was like that, but a room full of them. And I was just kind of like the fly on the wall guy.
It's like, I'm not supposed to be seeing this, but like, I'm getting a peek behind the curtain.
It was just like, this is so
it's beautiful.
great.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was. It was one of those. And it's this badass lieutenant colonel, and like, I found out more and more about, like, this was the day one introduction to this guy. I'm like, who's this guy? What's he doing in the maintenance meeting? But yeah, he was fucking badass. Like, when I got out, like, he came to my going away party at Gilligan's, this bar in Surf City.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that guy was cool. Took care of his fucking Marines. He was a fucking absolute stud, and like understood the Marine Corps and why we were there.
Yeah, and I always liked the guys that were fucking like complete fucking assholes, but looked after their Marines. A lot more so, and I think this is probably universal. A lot more so than like the say staff NCOs or officers that you got along with, but like wouldn't give a fuck if get hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But on that, shit, we're at 2.5 hours, man.
Yeah, we
you wanna
surpassed our
call it
1
good?
hour thing. Yeah, let's call it this time, man.
Yeah, yeah. No, fucking, yeah. No, good talk. And then like once you get the fucking video thing up, fucking hit me up. I'll come up for that.
All right, man. Sounds good. I cannot
Yep.
promise when's that gonna be, and
I mean, it doesn't have to be tomorrow.
all right, that's good. I don't have that kind of money. All right, yeah. So great talk. I'll probably hit you up for like just some random things, like whatever photo you want to use, and I'll obviously be adding your accounts to the the whatever spiel
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, absolutely, man.
All right, man. You have a great day, great night, whatever you want to call it, and hopefully we talk again later, dude.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Fucking catch you on the flip side.
Sweet, dude. Later.
All right, see ya.
Bye.